Okay, so recently there was a lot of stuff said about Stephen Colbert and how he made the quote. Today, the average price of gas in America hit an all-time record high of over $4 per gallon. Okay, that stinks. But a clean conscience is worth a buck or two. It's important. I'm willing to pay $4 per gallon. Hell, I'll pay $15 a gallon because I drive a Tesla. Now, Colbert here has been sort of raked over the coals, and rightly so, because he has clearly showed his disconnect with the general population and the realities that they live in from a financial standpoint. And people are like, "Oh yeah, I drive a Tesla." So here he is shaming people for just not driving a Tesla. He's like, big deal. I'll pay $15 a gallon. I got no problem paying $4 a gallon." Completely oblivious to the fact that $4 a gallon is a major hit to a lot of people who don't make the same kind of money that he does, which, according to this later on, is $15 million a year with a total net worth of $75 million. So, of course, this isn't going to hit him. It's nothing. It is a teeny, 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 tiny little drop in the bucket for what he's actually being hit. But I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about something that's a little bit different. And this is something I never really hear addressed. So I'm going to go through a little bit of rough math in this. So if I'm not dead on and exact, you'll forgive me. I haven't devoted my entire day to figuring out the exact specifics. So we're just going to kind of ballpark it. But if we say, okay, great, it's going to be, we'll all go out and we'll all get Teslas. Okay, never mind the fact that they're like 60 grand and most people can't afford a Tesla. But that's okay. We'll pretend that everybody's now got a Tesla or some sort of electrical vehicle. So we say, great, we're now saving money. We don't have to pay this, $4 a gallon. I'm saving all that money. No problem. Well, there's still a charge on this, isn't there? You still have to pay to charge that car. So we have to say, okay, how much does this car use of electricity? Okay. And we're going to say here we go. So this here did the work for me, this particular site. And they basically say that effectively, okay, we're going to be looking at about 280 kilowatt hours per month. So that works out to 3360 kilowatt hours per year, 3,360. That's assuming 1,000 miles per month, which is actually low because the standard right now, as it shows, is about 14,263 miles per year. So it's actually a little more than 1,000 miles per month in the United States. So that gives us 3,360 kilowatt hours per year for the car going off 1,000 miles. Okay. Now, when we go, okay, great, that's not too bad. But now we're going to go back here. We're going to say electricity consumption in the United States was about 3.8 trillion kilowatt hours in 2020. So we say, okay, that's fine. But you know what? 3,360, that's nowhere near 3.8 trillion. So we need to say, okay, the government is pushing everybody get into those green vehicles, get into those electric cars. Okay, so we're going to say, okay, how many cars are on the roads right now? How many cars are there? Right, number of motor vehicles registered in the United States. 2020, there were 276 million, almost 276 million vehicles. So let's say they want to change those all over because they don't want any of that dirty, combustible or combustion engine motors running. They want just that nice, clean running electric vehicle. So we're going to say 250 million. We're going to downgrade by 26 million here, and we'll say there's about 250 million. So we then take our 3,360 kilowatt hours, and we're going to multiply that by 250 million. And what we find is that gives us about 840 billion kilowatt hours. Now, if we come back, and if our memory serves us correctly, we had 3.8 trillion kilowatt hours. But now we're adding 840 billion kilowatt hours to that electrical usage on the grid. So that is basically, that's thereabouts, okay? A quarter more. So we're adding basically 25% to this number. What is the current generation capacity as it stands? Because I know that California has rolling brownouts where they can't meet the electrical needs already. Okay. And as well, keep in mind this number here that we got 280 kilowatt hours, right? And the number that we're using, the amount of dollars that we're using, we're thinking that can actually increase. Okay. When we talk about numbers here, so they say that's going to be about $38.50. Okay. The number of money, the amount of money that they're using here is that. So you go, okay, great, that's not too bad. But lots of places, for example, California, which has those rolling brownouts because it's tough to freaking generate that much electricity, it's actually almost double that. So depending where you live, this can be very costly. Now, we go, okay, great, but we have to generate all of that extra electricity now. So how many people out there do you think are going to be totally cool? All those special interest groups that are, no, we can't do any hydroelectric dams. We can't do that because it damages the environment. Oh, we can't do nuclear power plants because, oh no, they're a possible catastrophe in waiting. We can't do that. Oh, we can't burn coal. We can't burn coal. That's dirty. Okay. We have all of these other things, and if we generate electricity, let's drop a whole bunch of windmills. So that's great. Let's build windmills. How many windmills is it going to take to generate 840 billion kilowatt hours? Okay, I haven't looked it up, but I will say this: it's a lot. And those wind turbines are already killing birds by the freaking thousands. Okay, they're already bird graveyards. They just whack them out of the air. Okay, so there's going to be other effects if we go the route of just piling in freaking wind turbines all over the place. So now that we've got to generate this electricity, or even worse, if they decide they can't generate this electricity because of whatever reason, they don't want to go nuclear, they don't want to ruin the environment with more hydroelectric dams, whatever the case is, do you think the price of this electricity is going to stay where it is? Do you think that this, what is it, 13.75 cents per kilowatt hour is going to stick around that 13.75 cents per kilowatt hour when suddenly every single person in the state is trying to freaking crank up their car every single day? They plug it in. No, these numbers are going to go way higher. And this number here, where California is doing 23.76, that's going to look pretty cheap by comparison. So pretty fast now, we've got 250 million more of these cars adding to the pressure on the electrical grid. And that's going to drive up the pressure or the prices. And in fact, they may continue those rolling brownouts. So now they're going to be saying, oh, but you can't drive your car on certain days. So like right now, when there's water shortages, you only get to water your lawn on, odd numbered days. Or if you've got an odd numbered license plate, you can do it on Mondays and Fridays. And if you've got an even license plate, you get to do it on Tuesdays and Saturdays, something like that, depending on the area that you live in. Now that's going to be happening with these vehicles. And I personally think this is all actually part of the greater plan because nobody ever talks about this. Nobody ever mentions where are we getting this power from? How are we going to generate it? And how much is it going to cost us? Because right now, if I go down to the mall, they've got sections there where I can just plug my car in for free. It's like, yeah, green electric vehicles, park here, and they give me free energy. Well, do you think that's going to last when suddenly every single car in that parking lot is an electric vehicle? No. They are now going to freaking be like, okay, that'll cost you, chief. Okay. Or they're just not going to put in the chargers anyways. They're just not going to plunk them down. And you'll have to make sure that you have lots of juice in your car before you actually go out to the mall. So, this I think is part of the greater movement to try and take people out of cars, period, and just get them removed from vehicles so that only eventually the elites will have them. And that is going to be it. And the peasants will be stuck on mass transit and public transportation, or footing it or biking it. And that's it. Because otherwise, we would see much more about this. And they would be saying, look, we want to keep people in their cars. We want to get people using these green things. And we're going to be generating tons more electricity. And here's how we're going to do it. We're going to create that infrastructure that they always seem to want to talk about. We're going to create that infrastructure by building more nuclear plants or building more hydroelectric dams or building whatever they want to build that's going to generate electricity. But I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. And I think that this myth of this nice, cheap vehicle that's going to be ever so much cheaper than the gasoline powered vehicle, that's all going to come crumbling down very quickly once enough of these vehicles get on the road that it starts pushing the cost of that power up.